So, Mitsurugi matchup?
Yeah. All right. Let's do first to 5. Just because I don't want to make this video too long, and we'll see how it goes from there.
Or it's part 2.
Part 2. Oh man, we could. We could.
Yoshimitsu.
Yeah, we'll do it first to 5 for now. Let's see how it goes.
Okay. So this is my old school main.
I know. I remember watching a Super Arcade playing this guy. It was nuts. It was made me want to play him for a little bit, but it's too straight for me, I guess.
Battle 2. Fight.
Oh. Oh, lag.
Yeah.
Battle 3. Fight. Ready?
That move right there screws him up because he ducks.
Oh, damage. Oh god.
Yep, those Yoshi frames.
Oh, my heart.
Yeah, that's the Yoshi matchup against Mitsu because he can back up and then go to a tech crouching move. That's what makes the Yoshi matchup hard against Mitsu. Against Taki, she can rush him down. With Yoshi, he can just back up and say, "I'm going to do a bunch of safe tech crouching mids." That's why it's like whenever I play against Signia with Taki, it's like, okay, I can play against them reasonably well. With Mitsurugi, I have to be on point the entire time. And Yoshi has better ring out game forward and back. And so, like, my ring out stages are a pain in the butt.
But that low one is pretty good. Was it 1 BB, I think, right?
1 BB, it's good, but it's a double-edged sword. Because if you block it, he dies.
Yeah.
Mitsurugi dies. So, let's see. What is going on?
I don't know. Oh, there we go. Speaking of it, oh man.
Battle 2. Fight.
1-2-A. God, that move is stupidly good against Mitsu.
Oh, that move is so good, so good. Oh no.
Final climax. Fight. Your time is over.
Got him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the Mitsurugi matchup versus Yoshi is actually really hard for Mitsu. Because, like, the few things that Yoshi has is that in the matchups that Yoshi has to come in or he has to be on the defense are usually bad for him. In this one, Mitsurugi has to go against Yoshi's faster pokes and tech crouching. It's just a reality he has to deal with. In certain matchups, it's not that bad, but as Signia attested to playing Mitsu last week, he was like, what is this?
Welcome to the stage of history retold. Yoshimitsu. Ready for this?
And like, it's not that Mitsu is bad, but he just has a few issues that will make every matchup something he has to either grind for. There's nothing just a free matchup.
Battle 1. Fight.
Oh, that option.
Battle 2. Fight.
Nice.
I grow strong. Fight. Ready?
Oh my. Nice.
The battle is over. Show respect for the fallen you fought so hard. In the fire.
So what do you think about the game right now, like in your opinion? Like, do you think it's like in a good state where it is right
Actually, I think it's in a good state, but the community for the game is worrying me.
now?
Like there have been a lot of there are buffs, there are changes, there are different things that are going to happen in the game, but the development team is actually very open with some of their logic behind certain things, and they're trying to please as many people as possible. Not every character is going to be broken like they were in the week 1 state, right, or even the month 1 state, right? Like remember the Aswell meta,
Yeah.
where it was Aswell's dumb good. A lot of people want their characters to be as busted as that and think that's healthy for the game as long as they're winning. But where the game is now, there are a few things where I'm a bit hesitant on the Aswell nerf so far, because fighting games on average take at least a month to 2 months to figure out how this is supposed to work itself out, right? Like Aswell was just off the gate stupid good, and then people didn't figure out how good he was really until at least a month went by, right?
Yeah.
So with the current balance patch, like people are like Aswell's trash, right? But we know that he can use sword well. His spear is a little bit more robust, and we're not all guaranteed sure how good or how bad the final shakeout is. But where people are more interested at isn't about making the game balanced. They're about making sure that they win. And so a lot of people who are now complaining about the game are mostly complaining because it's not so much of a free win, or they disagree with some of the design choices, which you could talk about in a reasonable manner. But I think the game's in a decent state. If you try to divide the game up by tiers, what would be considered the A and B tier are all really close in power. I've been playing Calibur for a while, and there has not been a game that's got this much of a balance to it, where there's a huge chunk of the cast who can all fight on similar footing. They're all different. They all have definite matchups, yes. But nobody's just like, I picked this character, and now I can't win any game. And so I think the game's in a good state. And I'm more worried that the annoying whiners of the community, because there are some people who just can't vocalize their difference of opinion in a design choice in a constructive manner. And they'll go to, like, the director's Twitter, say, you effed up, you suck, et cetera. And, hey, some of these people are like, they're known members in the community, but they don't know how to communicate what would be a good change or a bad change in a reasonable manner.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that those people would sour communication between the people making the game and they want to make it better with the rest of the Western market. But I overall think the game is an interesting play. It's not bad, because I've definitely I've played this game played these games in much worse states, but it's not bad. Like the main areas where people were complaining about, saying like, tier sucked, they directly addressed that. And they gave, a few tips on things you should do with her. People said Astaroth is garbage. They definitely buffed him.
Yeah.
Taki got a bunch of love taps. Mitsurugi got a few love taps here and there. As well, people felt that he was too strong. I would disagree after the last patch, but there are some people who are just very vocal. Like we don't see a lot of the traffic the developers get, right? Like the Facebook page, worst thing ever, character's broken, I hate it, I should have never got it, worse than AIDS. And they're trying to make sure that the game is fun and enjoyable for as many people. So I see some of the logic they have, and I think that there are going to be a few changes in the future just by seeing how they're trying to communicate with the community what they want to do to make sure the game is as enjoyable as possible. Because if the game is fun, we can actually get an esports scene. Because players are playing, new players want to play, and people want to just have fun playing SoulCalibur. The esports scene develops not from corporations, but from players just having fun. And so they're trying to do what they can to make sure that people are having fun while playing the game. So the meta right now, it's too early to say like the game's trash or unplayable. It's way too soon. We just got a big shakeup in meta. We got a big shakeup in properties. I have not played against a Killick yet since the patches dropped.
Not even against like Party Wolf and stuff? Have you like gotten a chance to play against him? No?
I mean, I would like to play him against him at some point, but because our community nowadays, there are more people who pick characters for the purpose of winning only, and not for the purpose of enjoying the game or having a main and trying to express themselves creatively, offensively or defensively, or however they fight. There are more people who are focused on getting the cheap win and rubbing it in your face. I'm not going to call out a certain Facebook group by name.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm thinking.
I think I know what you're talking about there.
I mean, there are people in there who are still in F rank and it's currently like month 5 now, and they still can't grind it out in F rank. But when they win, they rub it in people's faces.
I think
And so,
no, go ahead. Go. I'm sorry.
What's your opinion?
No, I was just wondering, like, what do you think about the idea? Because this is what I've heard. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this or anything, but I've heard that they base their patches, like their balances, based off Japan's scene and online. I think that's what I've heard about. Is that true? And like, what do you think about that? Because
it's inaccurate.
It's inaccurate, is it?
Yeah. So, the SoulCalibur balancing with online input started really with SoulCalibur 4. But in SoulCalibur 4, there are a few things that PlayStation had, and Xbox had it too. You got a free 3 patches, right? So in 3 patches, you had to balance your game. Now, if there was a system-breaking bug like button binding, remember SoulCal, like back when we had legends like Unconquerable. I wish I was still playing. He's currently working at Riot, but
Okay.
if you ever see this one day, man, come back, fam. But we had a number of players who they made it a point to find game-breaking bugs and glitches of things the developers didn't plan for as a portion of the game, right? So people would hold on to tech so that developers wouldn't patch it out, even if it destroyed the entire balance of the game, because they're more focused on winning the tournament than letting the game rock for as long as possible. And Eris really bucks that trend for SoulCalibur 4 and in SoulCalibur 5, where he was willing to, tell the developers directly, here's some bugs and glitches, please fix them. The game's okay, but you need to constantly, shepherd this game.
Yeah.
And so in SoulCalibur 4, Daishi was a SoulCalibur 3. He loved SoulCalibur 3, and he mained Setsuka. If you've played Setsuka was similar to a Mishima in Tekken.
Okay.
She was high execution, but high damage, and you had to pull it all off. And if you play against a good Setsuka, it's never, you pick Setsuka. It's like, no, that's a good Setsuka. You have to, you have no option but to respect it, because Setsuka required such an execution barrier that you couldn't complain if you lost to it. And you played against certain characters, like say you're playing against Maxi, you don't know what he does. He's twirling his nunchucks around.
Yeah.
He looks like Bruce Lee. You don't know what's happening. He's just throwing glitter in your eye. It's a horrible thing, right? You can say, oh, that was luck. But a good Setsuka, when you know a good Setsuka, it's just either you can fight against it or sweet biscuits and gravy. This guy's a guy. When he got into SoulCalibur 5, he was like, okay, then I'm going to, he wanted to continue the storyline from where it was and keep the franchise going. And the North American scene, similar people and personalities were talking to Daishi saying, this game sucks, you suck, you're the worst person ever. And Namco's a Japanese company. Japanese companies don't really, they're learning now, but they didn't know how to interface with the Western audience, right? Like, they want to take safe bets. They want to make sure that people are spending money on the game so they can make the maximum amount of profit. But if any communication about the game is met with, you suck, you're a horrible person, I hope you die in a fire, my character got nerfed, screw you. No one wants to interface with that. And so one of the few people who broke in and figured out how to talk to the Japanese community was king of the flat earth himself, Ufmatic. Ufmatic loved Dampier. He loved the concept of him. Dampier is in SoulCalibur 4.
Yeah, that's the character I actually want to come to this game. I didn't even play SoulCalibur 4, but I saw him and I was like, I want him in this game.
Yeah, well, like Uf did the one thing that a lot of the Western market couldn't do. Kayane does it well, where she comes in, she has some opinions, and she's able to vocalize it in a manner that people can understand that they're talking to him, because at the end of the day, it's a company that wants to make money. They want you to spend more money on their product, right?
Yeah, of course.
And so if you talk to them in a manner of, hey, I like your game, and I want to spend more money on it, but could you do these things to make this game overall better so that I can enjoy it along with other people? And they're like, yeah, we like making money. I don't know if you, like, because you're a newer player, Namco had a few years after Tekken 6. And when Tekken 6 hit, Harada Michael Murray came up and said, we make Tekken and we want your cash. They made it very blatant. They said, we like our games. The Tekken community at that time Tekken doesn't bring in new blood. All of the old head Tekken players, I've been playing Tekken since my teens, and we just kept playing. The community grew because we just all got older. It wasn't until like the end of Tag 2 where they were like, actually the beginning of Tag 2, where they wanted to bring in as many players as possible. And Tekken 7 was a hit, and they got new players. But Namco wants you to enjoy the game as much as possible. That makes them sell more copies, and they're not trying to scam you out of money. And so, but when you're talking to a developer, you want to tell them, here's how to make the game better. Ufmatic did that with Dampierre stating, here's some glitches, here's some problems, here's a few things that he has, here's what I liked about it, and here's what, if you fix this, you would be more robust. They took that, and then when Dampierre arrived in Broken Destiny, he was a completely retooled character. What you played in SoulCaliburVI was the Ufmatic suggestion of being a very respectable version of Dampierre.
Okay.
He didn't talk to them like they were idiots.
Yeah.
So for the Western market, like for SBO 2012, I went to SBO, and I met a lot of developers there. And for them, they talk to the Japanese community because, one, they're there. Two, they give them good input, but they give them good constructive input where they can chew on that and then, digest it because you're talking to them like they're adults.
Yeah.
The people who mostly complain, say they only listen to the Japanese market, don't even talk to the Japanese players. They're on Twitter. Get a Google Translate, try to talk to them. Because, like, in Southeast Asia, in Asia in general, a lot of them want the game to grow because they want to travel and play against Americans, play against the French. They want you to come to their territory and play them because as we're all playing and having fun, producing content, we're like big upping sponsors. Next thing you know, everybody's making money, all because we're all having fun. But you got to communicate to people in a way that makes them want to listen to you. And so that's why, like, a lot of the people who complain that they think that they're not listening to the Western market, they are. They're just not listening to idiots. And a lot of our top players aren't mature enough to actually have that discussion on social media with a developer. Because, like, for Okubo-san, his Twitter's being monitored by the company. What the hell do you think you're gonna talk to him like? Like, how's it going, Namco? Here's a dick pic of Taki. What the fuck? No, it's like, all right, then if you talk to them, say, hey, we found some issues in the game. We would like to get them corrected. We don't think this was a part of your design, but if it is, here's a way to make it better. If it's not, what are you thinking? We would like to see this character be robust and enjoy it. Like, a lot of Arctic Komodo suggestions. He made a freaking PowerPoint, put it on Twitter, and they were like, yeah, we should probably buff that. And guess what happened? We got some Arctic Komodo buffs, but it wasn't an immature conversation.
Yeah.
It was a respectable conversation. And so most of the statements of they only listen to the Japanese market, they're listening to whoever is actually speaking reasonably to them consistently. And so that's where it seems the major confusion is of who are they listening to, because it's easier to listen to the Japanese market, but they also know that, the UK has a huge market for the game. America, a lot of people bought the game. I got it on 2 systems. I got it on Steam and PS4. And they want us to continue playing the game. And so this is the one time, like, say if you're playing League, right? You can't, dang well you can't go to the lead feedback thread and they're not going to listen to you. But right now, as a new player coming in, stating how to improve something or why something is good but can be improved or why something is good and should not be touched is the time to have that discussion and have it reasonable. Mm-hmm. But if you can't have it reasonably, you're just going to get ignored. So I don't think they're only listening to the Asian people, the Asian audience, or even like the Japanese audience. But that's just from what I've seen on Twitter, because I just spent a decent amount of time just lurking around. And heck, you want to ask for the feedback thread? Look up the names who said nothing productive other than try to dunk on the creator.
Mm-hmm. I see.
But
Yeah,
look at
it's
the people. But exactly. So, but next game.
Next game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually pretty nuts. But I don't know. It's
Welcome to
for
the
me, at
stage
least
of
as a new player, I feel like
history
I can't really say too much about the game myself, especially because of the fact I don't know much. So even if I had input, I feel like it's not useful enough because I don't have enough knowledge and background for it.
Oh, that's not necessarily true. But all you can do is communicate what you think, and be open for communication, whether it be good or bad.
Yeah, that's understandable.
And so, like, you may see something that nobody else sees, but that's because it's your point of view. And you can always, for a game that you're trying to enjoy, if you have issues with it, try to understand the logic of why it's there, and then have that discussion.
Battle 1. Fight.
Two.
Battle 2. Fight.
Oh, nice.
Ah, that one was absurd.
Battle 4. Fight.
God, that move was dumb.
The curtain final battle. Fight.
Wee!
No, it's a neutral break. Nice.
One thing I don't like about Yoshi in this game, though, if you've learned to play against Yoshimitsu in every Soul Calibur, it's a completely different matchup. There's nothing that he has. It's like, I spent all these years learning Yoshi. Too bad, fam. Like, you wasted your time.
Yoshimitsu.
This is Yasuke Mitsu.
The only thing, yeah, it seems like I was watching a little bit of SoulCaliburVI with like Boom playing Yoshi. It does seem like completely different, but I do recognize some moves. I don't know how significant it is, but yeah.
It's a because I used to like in Soul Calibur 5. Signy didn't win local tournaments in SoCal. It was usually just me saying thanks for coming. But like, No Face performed better at majors, and for all like the local tournaments, it was just me winning them. Like they were good up and comers, but. Yeet. Oh, that's save. What?
Oh, goodness.
Like, SoulCalibur V's life cycle was at the beginning I did it really well, then I stopped playing as much, and then a lot of the newer players started doing really well. Like that was like the rise of the Signia No Face Blue Boy era, and Blue Boy showed up at the end of SoulCalibur V and was just a beast.
Yeah.
But
oh
yeah,
my, bad option. Nice.
Battle 4. Fight.
yeah, that's another thing that I don't like. Mine whiffs. Yoshi's hit. Excuse me, sir. I have 2 meters. I will not allow you.
Oh, nice condition. Oh. You know, it's another thing though, like, you know how like we're in like 2018, 2019, like developers are like in the scene more, like patches are coming out. What do you think about the idea of like them doing a patch and then another patch within like a month distance? Do you think that's a good thing?
Welcome to the
You know,
It's not that. Nah. So this whole patch they had, it was a rollout. They had a plan for their patching. Like if you look at the discussions, like the American audience doesn't look at the Japanese videos. During their videos, they said, "Here's our plans on what we plan on doing for patching, and here's our goal." And so we're going to be rolling these out in 2 quick patches because they didn't want to do it in 1 huge patch. And they've added in a bunch of system issues, a bunch of stability issues that they had in the game. So the quick patches they had, consider this one technically balanced patch 1.
Okay.
Because these are all stuff they were going to do in the all-in-one patch, but they decided to roll it out in 2 patches so it wouldn't be so jarring. Because there was literally no tournament in between the 2 patches.
Nice.
Yes! Yes!
Battle 2. Fight.
Nice.
Battle 4. Fight.
Oh boy.
Will he do it? Back step. No! It's Yoshimitsu.
No! GG's Tomahawk.
The battle is over. Show respect.
Alright, man, I think it's a good time to end the video. Let the people know where to find you, man.
Alright, hit me up on Twitter at KingTomahawk. That is King Tomahawk. Just a regular dude who likes video games. I just happen to be slightly older than a few folks, but it's alright.
Yeah, thank you again so much, man. Thank you again for the tips and like letting people know like the history and stuff. Because I didn't even know like all this, some of the stuff that you told me. Like I wasn't here like back then. Like I told you, I'm a new player, new to the scene. But it's definitely interesting to hear about it because I know like nowadays, I know like I'm part of the millennials, or I guess I'm considered them a part of them, and I know like this generation's going to shit in terms of like complaining all the time. I understand. I see it too. Trust me, I see it. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, like if I'm glad you're playing, but the first thing that we should like just focus on, have fun. Your game's fun. You're liking Calibur. Just keep liking Calibur. And if negativity is getting to you, just don't worry about it because we're all growing. We're all learning, right? Yeah. Regardless of what you're playing, regardless of what game you're on, it's just a learning experience, right? Yeah. And so you can always grow from it. If you want to grow the community, put out content, support your locals, show up, and just be there. Being present is more important than being a Twitter presence.
Yeah, definitely.
So just make sure that you continue playing, have fun, and make friends along the way. Like while you're playing, you're gonna find somebody who you hate their guts, and you gotta play them in a 1st to 5, first rivalry. We're now in an anime fight arc. That's you now. You the protagonist. And so be that person, man. Just get them games in, grind it out. And as you learn the ropes, you'll meet more people. And make sure that when you're playing, don't be a part of the crowd of people who are whining. Be a part of the people who are trying to find solutions to make things better. Yeah. And that applies to playing the game or just life in general. And that goes a long way.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to end the video right there. But yeah, thank you so much again, Tomahawk. Thank you for stopping.
No problem, man. Have a good one.
All right, peace out, guys.